This past year, as I traveled, I saw the true spirit that filled New York Rainbow. The first stop on my trail was at my home area, where I attended a regular meeting, followed by an Easter egg duck hunt. Later that weekend, I trotted on over to our pledge meeting. It was a great opportunity for me to give the pledges their pennant flags and pins. We had lots of fun making sun catchers with paper plates and dried flowers, as well as decorating pots and planting. Next, I jumped upstate and helped initiate Margaret and Talia into Middletown Assembly. Many assemblies came together helping to make this a spectacular day. Mom Suzanne gave out large teddy bears to the girls who brought in those members. They were so adorable. Afterwards, we had many snacks, food, and tons of fun. The month of May brought me back to Long Island. First, to Belmar Sawasset and Harmony Pilgrims meeting. Afterwards, we filled toiletry bags for St. William's Church Food Pantry. It's time for the first official visit. Spirit, Mom Kelly, and I jumped on the train and headed into New York City for our first official visit, Grand Lodge. Spirit and I attended 2 dinners, sold lots of goodies for our state charity, and even got a tour of the Grand Lodge's room. There are so many rooms in there. Did you know that there's a polar bear in one of the rooms? It was a weekend filled with bus rides, rain, Starbucks, Ubers, and tons of Spirit. What better way to spend Mother's Day than at the Long Island Duck game? Our Rainbow family and friends met together to watch the game in the sun. Spirit and I ran the bases too. In May, Mom Kelly, Abby, Spirit, and I took a ferry across the Long Island Sound to attend our first out-of-state Grand Assembly in Maine. The theme for Maine Rainbow is celebrating Maine's legacy. We had a great time connecting with others, meeting new friends, and of course seeing Mom Redmond. I had to make sure to give Mom Gail a call on my banana phone while I was there. One of our Rainbow dads, Mr. Jerry Bertzel, was installed as the master of Metinicock Lodge in Glen Cove. It is an old, beautiful building whose lodge room was from a Masonic temple in Buffalo, New York. Our next showing was at Calverton National Cemetery. We placed flags at the graves of veterans, joined by Rainbow Girls, Pledges, Adults, Friends, Triangle, and DeMolay. Spirit, JK, and Haley Hubert did a great job too. A tip for anyone in the future, bring a screwdriver to help make a hole in the ground. It makes all of our lives so much easier. On a very hot Memorial Day, we marched in the parade with Metinicock Lodge number 306 and Glen Cove Lodge number 580. All of our spirits were high in the heat while running, jumping, and having fun. We handed out lollipops and cards with information about Rainbow attached to them as we skipped and waved flags. Grand Family Weekend was at Lions Camp Badger. The weekend was filled with leadership, fun, activities, and games. It was cold and wet, but still tons of fun. We even kept a fire going inside to keep us warm. Spirit was excited to see all of his pony friends together. The weekend's game encouraged us to work together, make us think, challenged us, and even had us frustrated, but we managed to complete them all by the spirit we give each other. The junior board had several activities, including raffle baskets, bracelet making, coloring pages, games, beads, and s'mores, of course. To close the weekend, Mom Gail read us a book. What kind of world would it be? Time to now meet up with Mom Gail and my Masonic youth friends in Syracuse for the Scottish Rite of Deliberations. But first, Mom Kelly, Spirit, and I had to stop at Dunkin' for National Duck and Donut Day. While walking around selling my bears, pins, and chocolate, I saw some familiar faces from my home temple, Rockville Center Temple. The dinner was spectacular. I spoke on behalf of New York Rainbow, as well as enjoyed learning about the Dyslexia Center and their impact on many people. Following a great night, I galloped on over to Mom Gail's house for the night. Of course, I had to spend time with Gracie, too. The morning brought me to see Nisa, Natalie, Selena, and Eliza at the Grand Patron's homecoming. Spirit hung out with Heidi and Raven, along with several of our amazing advisors. It was an honor to see the most worthy Mark Heitman welcomed home to conclude an amazing year. Spirit and I heard the clip-claps of some hooves as we pulled into the New York Equestrian Center. Spirit, Cappy, and I took some formal photos together. On a hot June meeting with Belmore and Sawasset, we signed cards for Mom Rung's 90th birthday, as well as get well cards for Caroline, one of our pledgy sisters. My next big show was back up in Utica. It was time for St. John's Day at the Masonic Care Community. We stood at the rainbow table, sold items for the Baldwin Fund, and had help from many girls and advisors in the northern area. Afterwards, I spoke in the chapel on behalf of the Masonic youth. I even had a chance to see my great-aunt Jean, who is a resident of the home. It was dinner at Cracker Barrel, where I ate chocolate chip pancakes and spent the night near Lake George with Spirit, Mom Kelly, and Mom Billy before heading over to Hudson Valley Installation. I got to see Isla be installed as a worthy advisor for her first term. Brooklyn Chapter, Order of the Eastern Star, had Master Mason Night, and I was honored to speak on behalf of Rainbow at the Baldwin Masonic Temple. Spirit, Mom Kelly, and I dove into Massachusetts Rainbow for their dive into the sea of discovery and possibility Grand Assembly sessions. I was joined by Mom Janelle, Isla, Talia, Mom Krista, and Clarissa. Grandworthy Advisor Ashley did an amazing job presiding. We had so much fun painting turtles, dancing, and celebrating Rainbow with them. Spirit and I followed the wilderness animals up to New Hampshire Rainbow for their growing leaders with New Hampshire. Grand Assembly sessions. Jada and her grand officers performed exciting drills at the beginning of every session. Cloris, Mom and Dad Juan, Mom Kelly, Mom Janelle, Talia, Isla, Mom Krista, and Clarissa and I enjoyed the activities, including making blessing bags, lawn games, board games, and of course the banquet. Well, hold your horses, or at least I tried while riding this horse Prince for summer camp. But this trail had a different ending. Thankfully, I was okay, and headed up to Oriskany, a little sore, but not broken. Our junior board and several members of adults advisors were there selling raffles and items for our state charity. Mom Gail, Spirit, Mom Kelly, and I left Oriskany and trotted down to Albany for DeMolay Convention. We were so excited when Mom Gail got presented with the Spirit of Dad George Newberry Award for her work with the Masonic youth and making this world a better place. Joseph retired as State Master Counselor and Rachel as State Sweetheart. Tristan was newly installed as the State Master Counselor, and his sister Cadence was the new State Sweetheart. Giddy up, partner, the minivan was moving again with Spirit, Mom Kelly, and I as we traveled down to Middletown for Zoe's installation. Her theme was hopping into our dreams with the mascot Louis the alligator. It was a very hot afternoon, but great to see so many people supporting their assembly. Lucky for me, I was able to cool off on July 26th at our poolside Rainbow University and Founders Day picnic. We watched and participated in Rainbow University, both inside and outside, played with the petting zoo, and swam in the pool. There were Rainbow Girls, advisors, pledgees, and prospects all in attendance. After a couple of weekends off, I was ready to hoof it on over to Albany for the Grand Council of Crypto Masons official visit. Most illustrious Daniel Elliott, Grand Master, presided over the dinner. The centerpieces were beautiful as they exhibited Dad Dan's theme of Light the Fire Within. An exciting part of the night was when Mom Kelly was presented with the Youth Leadership Award from the most illustrious Dan Elliott, Grand Master. I was so proud of her. I jumped back to New Jersey to head back to college, but soon found myself jumping on over to New York to help initiate Mia, Grace, and Catherine into Belmore and Syosset assemblies. Katie and her ducks retired that evening. She spent her term encouraging everyone, don't stop quacking. The next day, I traveled with Spirit, Mom Gail, and many friends to Sayville for Jasmine's installation. Harmony Pilgrim, Syosset, and Belmore will all be able to find your wonder during the next several months with the Cheshire Cat and Alice in Wonderland. I did hear straight from the horse's mouth that Right Eminent Grand Commander John Scott had a wonderful year with his fellow Masons. Grand Commandery was so fun. We wore our favorite sports jerseys for the dinner, tossing around inflatable balls. I was introduced the next morning and spoke. Good things Mom Kelly's car had a lot of horsepower, since Mom Gail and I joined her as we headed up to the Green Witch for Hudson Valley's initiation. Sophia, Caitlin, Rosa, Madeleine, and Marjorie joined our rainbow. Hello Kitty often says, you can never have enough friends, and lots of friends will help we had that day filled with all the stations. We all ponied up for some fun at the Grand Officer Day on October 4th. We walked around the park raising over $5,000 for the state charity. And then the rodeo began. We barrel raised, lassoed the cow, ring tossed, and played cornhole. The barbecue had lots of delicious food and desserts. Daphne did an awesome job providing. They next rolled the red carpet out for Mom Gail and I at Triangle Convention with their Hollywood theme. I was so sad to see Angelina, my partner in crime at all the official visits, retire as state representative. Eliza was newly installed, and I'm excited to teach her the ropes at the upcoming dinners. Mom Gail was presented with the State Representative Award for 2025 from Angelina and Mom Stephanie Piston, the state director. Well, she gave me my own copy of Mr. Magoo's A Christmas Carol, and you know that I watched that on the way home. I was chomping at the bit to see what our Grand Assembly room would look like this year, and when I arrived at Grand Chapter Order of the Eastern Star, I finally was able to see the Doubletree Hotel in Binghamton. Most Worthy Marcia Pratt and Grand Matron and Most Worthy Mark Heitman, Grand Patron for the 2025, were going out of office and being installed for 2026 were the Most Worthy Betty Petrangelo, Grand Matron, and Most Worthy Mike Kessler, Grand Patron. There were so many familiar faces, and it was so nice to see. Spirit and I spoke about service and our state charity. An evening and morning were filled with some Gracie fun and kisses at Mom Gail's before heading over to Auburn Masonic Temple to initiate Emma and Harley into Spectrum Assembly. The beauty of our rainbow is how we help each other when needed. So many assemblies came together to welcome our new sisters. The main event was the next Grand Officer event in Northern Area on November 8th. Kaylin was the show steward. We were first instructed to make our own horses out of pool noodles, and then the Grand Officers completed in 2 events: walking, 2-point, trotting, galloping, and even a timed jump event. It was a very competitive show. Judges Mom Gail and Dad Wright had the best seats. I tried my best, but ended up settling for reserve champion and Katie getting grand champion. The ring crew was amazing, setting up after each event. The Grand Casa Color luncheon and ceremony was November 15th. Dad, Dan Elliott, and I received our Grand Cross of Color. The team did an amazing job. Belmore, Sawasset, and Harmony Pilgrim met on December 5th for a regular meeting and initiation rehearsal. Afterwards, we celebrated Lorelei's 6th birthday. The semester at college ended, and I was able to trot on over to Middletown's initiation on December 12th. We had a Christmas party, and after the meeting, Christmas goodies. It was not snowing yet on Long Island, but it was for the rest of the state, as we laid wreaths at Cravelton National Cemetery. I was joined by Belmore, Sawasset, our Triangle Sisters, and DeMolay brothers, along with Tristan Schulbaum, the state master counselor. The next day, it snowed. Spirit and I were excited to see the snow and go play in it. Belmore, Sawasset, and Harmony Pilgrim's assemblies had another initiation for Madison and Delilah to join our order. We had a Christmas grab bag gift exchange after the meeting. I think Spirit was really looking forward to some horse treats in one of those gift bags. December 20th, Mom, Kelly, Spirit, and I jumped on a train and headed into New York City. Lauren was the acting worthy advisor. We played get-to-know-each-other games, had a regular meeting, pizza for lunch, and I was able to explain the pennant flags to all of the girls. So much fun. Next, I raced on over to Sayville to celebrate with Mom Helene, Grand Representative to New Hampshire, Order of the Eastern Star, and Pyramid Chapter for a homecoming. The message I shared that night was about giving, highlighting how much Mom Helene has given herself to our order. It was time to ride back to Sayville for a Cowgirls Christmas Carol homecoming. Juliet and Katie did an amazing job with the Southern Area girls and advisors welcoming me to the 2025 Grand Officers Homecoming. I saw my past, present, and future. I collected ornaments with the help of my rainbow sisters, decorated the Christmas tree as I placed a golden horseshoe on top, and straight from the horse's mouth, or actually Mom Gail's mouth, the new Grand Worthy Advisor 2026 Grand Officers were announced. Congratulations, Nisa. My last official visit was Royal Archmasons. Most excellent Mark Pearson, Grand High Priest, was presiding, finishing his year for 2025 to 2026. And Most Excellent Jamie Kame, Junior Grand High Priest for 2026 to 2027, will be installed. I sold out of Pink Betty teddy bears that evening and raised tons of money for the state charity. Thankfully, for many of these Masonic visits, I don't like to eat a horse. Just give me a salad, chicken fingers, french fries, and I'm happy. I finished off the year traveling with Mom Gail and Mom Kelly to Trumbull, Connecticut for their Navigating Our Own Wonderland Grand Assembly sessions. We were greeted by Mom Valerie, Kaylin, Chloe, Mom Krista, and Clarissa. Emily did a fabulous job presiding over the sessions as the 2025 Grand Worthy Advisor. After many clues that I was clueless about, the theme for 2026 was announced. The Circle of Life was the theme for Grand Worthy Advisor Taylor and Connecticut Rainbow. The safari animals will be following them throughout the year. I started my year traveling across the Long Island Sound on the ferry while heading to Maine, and I ended my year once again coming home on the Long Island Ferry. Home is a place where I can lay my head down in the green pasture and reflect on a year that Spirit and I had together, keeping the spirit alive in 2025. Thank you.